presented by LeBear's Casino. TK joining us courtesy of Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, and I'm coming to you from the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame studios today on this Monday morning edition of Sports Shorts Daily. We're going to talk a little bit about the opening weekend of college baseball. Of course, it was a record-setting weekend for the LSU Tigers, 51 runs in 3 games against Maine. Clearly this is not the Maine of the 1980s that went to the College World Series 3 times, but I don't care who you're playing. 51 runs in the weekend is impressive, and you can see why LSU has 3 players on the Golden Spikes Award list. You can see why they're ranked in all the polls in the top 10. You can see why they were expected to be very good on offense, because they're going to be very good on offense. Hard to analyze the pitching. We'll get into that. Big weekend for LSU athletics, gymnastics. Friday night sold 12,000 in attendance at the PMAC. You also had, Susan Jackson being honored. She's going into the 2022 Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. She was on hand along with a lot of alumni there in the PMAC Friday night as we presented her, along with Dee Bro on the mat in the middle of that record-setting meet against Alabama. Then this weekend, tremendous crowds at the box all weekend long. LSU took care of business there. Sunday at home, women's basketball, sold out crowd. About 80% of the folks in attendance, but they sold over 13,000 tickets. Kim Mulkey getting it done. They win again, 6 in a row. And here they are, second place in the SEC with only 2 games to go. Their last home game will be this Thursday on senior night against Alabama. So get your tickets for that one, as it probably will be a sellout as well. TK joining us. Tommy, obviously you're big LSU baseball fan, college baseball fan. By the way, congrats to the Raging Cajuns as they took 2 out of 3 from a ranked UC Irvine at home. Ronnie is still the only LSU Tiger to lose to Maine. I was the only LSU Tiger to lose to Maine in Baton Rouge. I want to say –
nope, that's the only one.
Is that the only one? LSU played Maine in the
You're one of a kind.
Yeah, that's great.
LSU is now 9-1 against Maine. It would be 10-0, but the lefty couldn't get it done in '92.
Yeah, hey, they were loaded that year.
They were huge. Murderers Row.
People still talk about that 1992 Maine team up in those parts. So don't sleep on them. But what was your just overall, couple things that jump out to you about LSU this weekend?
Well, 51 runs, which is a record for LSU baseball. Most college teams need 2.5 weeks to score 51 runs. They did it in 3 days. They hit the ball, a couple of errors they probably want to clean up. The other thing that jumped out to me, Ronnie, the pitching, 36 strikeouts, 6 walks. That's an incredible ratio, as you know. And, Jason Kelly saying, hey, we're going to pound the plate. We're going to, throw the fastball until they prove us they can hit it. Blake Money looked great. 78 pitches in 7 innings the other night. I was behind home plate first 3 innings when he was throwing, and he looked like midseason form. Now, it was Maine. You touched on that. We touched on that last night on Hold the Rope Radio. But like Skip Bertman said, when they throw the ball in there, you still got to hit it. And LSU hit it. Hit it all weekend long. What was that? 12 straight innings. They scored at least a run. I mean, those are things that are just incredible. Now, Ronnie, we've talked. Everybody's talked. LSU baseball is going to hit the ball. They're going to score runs. And we saw that, even more than we thought this weekend. Time will tell going forward. Starting Wednesday, they got 5 games in 5 days. We'll get a good reading on the pitching staff. We'll get continue to see who can hit and who plays defense. But I'm sure Jay Johnson's satisfied about the weekend. But knowing Jay Johnson the way we have come to know him, he's probably got some things he wants to work on, some things he'll talk about and touch up a little bit. But huge crowds on hand for all 3 games at the box, and what a weekend.
Thanks, Kip. Appreciate it. Yeah, Kip, Rachel, fun game to watch. Thanks, Craig, for reminding us. And Kip, let's not forget we could not hit Ronnie Rance last year. That's right. Yeah, even the Tigers of last year couldn't have hit me on 1992 against Maine on that weekend. This offense is unbelievable. By the way, Dugas didn't even start yesterday, in this lineup. This guy hit, 18, 19 homers a year ago. Cade Beloso. And look, good news, bad news for the Tigers. Good news is they were unbelievable offensively, and I think, that's a sign of things to come, regardless of the opponent. Bad news is Cade Beloso, who is very much a leader on this team, a guy who is a freshman All-American at 10 bombs his freshman year at LSU, been a starter ever since, is potentially out for the year. We know all LSU is saying is he's out for some time with a knee injury, but behind the scenes, it's expected it's probably going to be out for the year. And that's terrible news for him because this is a team that looks like a real potential College World Series team, and he may not be able to be a part of that. And clearly he would have helped them as well. Good news, bad news this weekend.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. I hate to see any player get hurt at any level, and to have that happen to a guy who worked so hard in the fall, and he slumped last year. He'll be the first to tell you he didn't have a real good season, but he really, with the new coaching staff, that he bought into some things, and he was really swinging the bat well all fall. And prior to the opening weekend, he was hitting the ball well. Heck, he was in the starting lineup. I mean, he was listed as DH batting sixth, and all of a sudden when he didn't bat in the first inning, and then when his spot came up in the second inning, here comes Joe Barrett on deck circle, and I saw Jay Johnson signaling the ump, hey, we got a pinch hitter thing here. And at the time, none of us that were sitting there, I was sitting with Skip and Kevin Gosman and Canterbury. Obviously, we didn't know what happened, and we're thinking, well, if something happened, during batting practice, he wouldn't have been in the lineup. So we figured it had to be something very close to game time when the lineup couldn't be changed. We did have enough, sense to figure that out. And then, of course, it was much later when we found out exactly what happened. Very unfortunate. He's going to have to rehab his way back, and I'm sure he kind of still be in that dugout helping his teammates because that's the kind of kid he is.
I mean, he's the pride of Chalmette, right? He's one of your guys. He actually was honored by the St. Bernard Hall of Fame, St. Bernard Parish Hall of Fame a few years back for being an amateur player of the year. It's terrible. I mean, it's so freak. I mean, they're doing the warm-up chant where they lock arms and they sway back and forth in a circle, and he winds up tearing his knee up in that situation. Just an unbelievable. I'm thinking back to freak injuries.
Lane Mestepe.
Well, Lane Mestepe in a dog pile, celebrating when Smoke Laval was a head coach when they were going to the College World Series. They dog piled at the box, and he ended up hurting his shoulder and didn't pitch in the World Series. Martin Grammatica's brother, remember when he celebrated the field goal, jumped up in the air, came down, tore his knee, and never kicked again in the NFL.
I want to say there was a Georgia or South Carolina wide receiver that did some kind of little touchdown thing and busted a knee up too. That's 5-6 years ago.
What about Farrat, right, with the head injury when he hit his head into the wall with the Washington Redskins?
Yeah.
Gus Farrat.
We've had a baseball player or two punch a water cooler.
Yeah, we've had
punch the wall in the back of the dugout.
Sammy Sosa sneezed and broke a rib. That's how steroided up he was.
He didn't have enough cork pad in that rib.
I mean, so this is just a horrible, unfortunate deal for Cade Beloso. But the reality is, the brutal reality is LSU's deep enough to overcome it. Clearly, Joe Bear went in there and was as good as anybody all weekend long.
He got the first Tiger hit and the first Tiger home run. Who would have bet on that? Who would have bet on that Friday at about 5 o'clock, huh?
Yeah. The other thing is pitching wise, as you mentioned, we talked plenty about Blake Money on the show on Saturday on Sports Church Radio. He was phenomenal from a standpoint of the guy, what he's done in the last 8 months physically to his body. He was 91, 95, ease of motion, pounded the strike zone, 79 pitches or whatever in 7 innings. I mean, just phenomenal first outing. Exactly what you want from him. The breaking ball was sharp. So he looked like a potential ace. He looked like what an SEC ace looks like these days. And that's good news. Can't say the same for Mikhail Hilliard. Wasn't one of the better outings there. It was Mikhail Hilliard to me has always been a guy that's done it a little bit with mirrors. You look up and he's especially the second half of last year, he had outstanding outings. He doesn't have great stuff. I'm curious with this coaching staff and with this pitching staff, will they give him opportunities to work out of it? And what I mean by that is, I don't know how – we don't know these guys, right? We don't know Coach Kelly and Coach Johnson from the standpoint of are they going to have snap judgments on a guy like Mikhail Heat? If the outing is just and you got all these other options because you got 18 guys, are they going to be quick to, all right, give somebody else in there? Or are they going to let a guy like Mikhail Hilliard have a few starts because of what he's done throughout his career? And he's a senior and he was good last year. Will they just by virtue of that say, hey, we're going to give him 3, 4, 5 starts before we maybe make any changes? I don't know. We just don't know.
Well, I think with the 5 games coming up in 5 days starting Wednesday, I think he's going to get another start. That's my opinion. That's a guess. I got no inside info there. I think that they would give him another start to see if he can, have that out. If he's commanding his curve, he's tough. If not, hey, another thing on the pitching staff, Reiselman hit 98 on the gun yesterday. Threw several at 97 and hit one at 98 yesterday. Ronnie, as you know, and anybody that played a lot of baseball knows, that's flat out getting it up there in a hurry. All right, we seem to have lost Ronnie, but we will keep plugging away here, and he will jump back in. Don't forget, Tremonti's Meat and Seafood is closed today, Monday. They'll be open Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. You can check out Tremonti's Meat and Seafood on Facebook and Instagram as well. And don't forget the LeBears Casino and Hotel in Baton Rouge, where you can bet on college basketball, all the postseason tournaments, March Madness right around the corner, all that good stuff. And so don't forget LeBears Casino Sportsbook to make your bets. There you go, Ronnie. Well, I just did a little plug on Tremonti's and LeBears Sportsbook while you were jumping away.
Talking about LSU baseball for a minute, Brian Painter brought up, love seeing the production of the offseason additions. The hardest thing that Jay Johnson's going to have to deal with this year, Tommy, and this is juggling the lineup. How do you keep all these good, talented players happy? How do you keep them from not immediately when the game's over going to walk-ons with their family and bitching and complaining that they're not getting at bats or playing enough? I mean, that's going to be the number because they've got everything it takes from a standpoint of talent. They've got everything it takes from a standpoint of just the depth of the team to offensively be the best team in the country this year. But there's only so many at bats. And that's going to be the challenge that I think LSU is going to face this year is can they keep that camaraderie? Can they keep that teamsmanship without losing a core of that team to the NIL selfishness pill, which is a real thing right now?
Yeah, well, that'll be part for Jay Johnson and the staff to manage that, and I mean, because you need all the guys. It's baseball. Somebody's going to start slumping and somebody can get in the lineup. It'd be a good problem to have if nobody, played their way out of the lineup. So it's something that we'll watch as time goes forward. I mean, 3 games out of 56, and obviously you would think there'll be plenty of postseason games. So we'll have to see how that goes.
How about Wednesday night, LSU at Louisiana Tech? Louisiana Tech swept Wichita State this weekend at home. Now, we know Louisiana Tech only lost 1 player in their starting lineup on offense from a year ago. That was a host regional team. So they're going to be very good this year. I don't know how good Wichita State is or isn't anymore. I mean, they're not your daddy's Wichita State. But still, they swept a quality opponent at home. And then they've got LSU on Wednesday night. Neither team plays on Tuesday. And I know from being up in Ruston a week ago, people are really looking forward to it. It's the hardest ticket you're going to find in college baseball this coming weekend. It's a small stadium. It only seats 2,000. There's an additional little berm and a couple little areas. You might be able to get 3,000, 3,200 jam-packed in there. So that's it. It's going to be super tough to go there. I talked to Todd Walker as well. Todd Walker will be there with his wife. They have season tickets. Their son, Jack, is a redshirt freshman on the Louisiana Tech baseball team this year. He went to Byrd High School, and he's redshirting this year as an outfielder. So he'll be at the game. I'll actually be there as well, honoring Teddy Allen, who's going into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame as a Distinguished Service Award winner in sports journalism. Teddy's from that part of the country, does a lot with Louisiana Tech athletics. And then Kyle Williams will be there as well. Kyle, from Ruston High and the defensive coordinator for the Ruston Bearcats. Of course, played at LSU and then the NFL for the Buffalo Bills, 6-time Pro Bowler. He's going into this class, and so we're going to do a special presentation like we did with Susan Jackson at Gymnastics Friday. We're going to do them on Wednesday before the game in front of the big crowd. So looking forward to seeing those guys. But going to be special and going to be quite the challenge, Tommy, because this is going to be very good experience for Jay Johnson's team to go on the road. Very tough a challenge, more so for the pitchers than for the hitters. I'm looking forward to seeing, Will Helmers get the start like you and many others expect. But who else will pitch and how they'll fare in that environment?
Yeah, that's going to be a good measuring stick on Wednesday night, like we said, in front of a full house. The Tech people are going to be going nuts. The crowd's going to be into it. And it's going to be something that we'll all take a look at. And I would suspect we'll see a bunch of guys throwing, especially with 4 games on the weekend. Keep in mind, it's a doubleheader Sunday. So it's a unusual weekend in the sense that you got 4 games instead of 3, which means 9 more innings of pitching. And I'm sure Jason Kelly and Jay Johnson will have a plan for it all. And we're, in all likelihood, they'll have to adjust that plan based on whether somebody's doing real well or somebody struggles, whatever. They'll be ready for it. These guys know what they're doing.
So LSU 51 homers over the weekend. Louisiana Tech sweeps Wichita State. 51 runs. Excuse me.
That would have been a story with 51 homers. We wouldn't be on the air right now.
51 runs and over the weekend, a record in 3 games to start the year. And then, of course, Wichita State gets swept by Louisiana Tech. Going to set up an epic matchup on Wednesday night. Looking forward to it. Congratulations to Matt Deggs and his Raging Cajuns. They dropped the opening game. They had against a quality UC Irvine team who was ranked anywhere from 14 to the early 20s, depending on the poll, and a scrappy UC Irvine team. Remember, UC Irvine, this was their first trip, Tommy, to Louisiana since 2008 when they lost in the Super Regionals at the old Alex Box Stadium. And Buzzy Heidel did what?
Hit the last home run in the old Alex Box Stadium, and that's something that record will stand forever, the Buzzy. And it was only surpassed by 72-6. It's the bomb at the box and 72-6. Yeah. That's how when I think of Buzzy, that's what I think about.
Yes, shot a 72 with 6 birdies at Augusta last year, so that replaced his home run thing. Although I was able to work it into the broadcast, Tommy, on Saturday. That was
you did.
Part of a challenge Buzzy gave me when I was going on the air.
There was a time one spring Buzzy co-hosted Tigers Roar with me during the baseball season, and part of the intro we had that shot at a home run against Irvine. And all he would say was, "I buggy whipped it." That's what he said, because he did lace it pretty good. But hey, that bat's in the Hall of Fame at Alex Box Stadium. In the little room there with the last home run in the old box, and that record will be there forever.
Yeah, the Wally Pontiff Hall of Fame. It's funny. There was a radio guy for UC Irvine, an older fella who was actually been the radio guy for many, many decades. And I talked to him on Sunday before the game, and he remembers being at Alex Box Stadium. Remember UC Irvine, by the way, went to the College World Series in 2007. So in 2008, they're playing the Super Regional at the box. It's game 3. They had a 7-3 lead in the 7th inning, or 7-3 or 7-4 lead in the 7th inning of that game. And then LSU exploded for like 20 runs to over the next 3 innings to beat them, which is unbelievable.
Wasn't that also one of 2 times when Skip Bertman was ejected? I think it was in the Irvine series, but I'm not sure if it was game 3.
No. That was Paul Maneri's first College World Series in 08.
So it would have been
it was Long Beach State series.
Long Beach when he got ejected.
Okay, 1997 when Coogan was pitching. They had that great relief outing. They beat Long Beach State in extra innings.
Okay, I got Long Beach and Irvine mixed up. My bad.
Same conference.
Same area. Like they're in the same area code. I just screwed it up there.
Long Beach State, Cal State Fullerton, UC Irvine, all in the Big West. They're all big rivals. But it was the first time the Raging Cajuns had beat a ranked opponent in a year. They won 2 out of 3. It was a very well-played series, back and forth. UC Irvine was down all 3 games in that series and came back to take the lead all 3 games, but the Raging Cajuns did as well on Saturday and Sunday. So congratulations to them. They've got a nice team. They've got a couple good arms in the back end. They had a kid named Bonds who came out of that bullpen, Tommy, yesterday. They were trailing by 1. He ended up picking up the win. He went 3 1/3 innings, didn't give up a hit or a run or anything. He struck out 5 and walked nobody. He was just absolutely dominant, 91-94 with a hard 79-mile-an-hour curveball and a decent straight change to lefties, and he just ate them up down the stretch and was the difference. But so we'll they've got a tough schedule. Raging Cajuns go to Sugarland. They go to Texas. They play Arkansas, who's ranked number 2 in one poll going into this past weekend. They play Stanford, who's ranked number 5 in one poll, and they play Indiana. So they're going to learn a lot about their team this weekend, even more against those opponents. All right, let's move on. LSU women's basketball, quick takeaway from you on what Kim Mulkey's doing. They're now 23-4, Tommy. 2 games left in the SEC, and 1 at home this Thursday against Alabama on senior night. I mean, it's just the story just continues to be amazing.
You know, we talked about it on Hold the Road Radio last night that, you know, I think everyone expected Kim Mulkey to do very well at LSU and have tremendous success. Not many people thought she'd be 23-4 right now. And, you know, she's not the coach of the year in the SEC. They need to stop giving out the award. Okay. But one thing I've said since she got hired is nothing she does will surprise me. So I'm not surprised in the big picture that she's 23-4, 6 straight wins in the conference, selling tickets galore, texting you because you're not at the game. I mean, I'm not surprised at any of that stuff, you know. So we'll just see how the rest of the season plays out. And, you know, don't be surprised if, you know, they make a run in the tournament or they end up in the women's Final Four. Don't be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Kim Mulkey, wow, it's amazing what she entertains and, most importantly, she coaches. And it's an amazing story, you know, especially, you know, Louisiana, Hammond High, Louisiana Tech, you know, all that good stuff. You throw that in there, and now she's, you know, in the purple and gold and doing an amazing job that most everybody thought she would do.
You know, she probably won't admit this, but there's just no way she thought. I mean, I know privately she said to me and many others, like, she would tell the public, hey, look, it's going to be slow. It's going to be a process. But, you know, there's no way she expected this to go from 9 wins to 23 and counting at this point, and a team that's on its way to being ranked in the top 10 and going to host an NCAA first 2-round tournament in Baton Rouge. A team that's on the verge of, you know, finishing second in the SEC and potentially could, try to win an SEC championship at the tournament in Nashville next week. I mean, there's just all this is just happening way, way, way too fast. It's just a great problem to have for LSU. Do you understand the jacket problem? What's that about? I don't get that.
I don't understand that. Rachel asked the question.
Rachel, explain the question. I don't know what the jacket thing you're talking about.
The jacket that Kim Mulkey wears or doesn't wear, or I saw something about that a few days ago, but maybe Rachel can elaborate for us, but I'm not sure.
What a weekend for the bean counters at LSU. You know, over 11,000 tickets sold for all 3 games this weekend. In baseball, over 12,000 for gymnastics, which I hadn't been to a gymnastics meet in many years. And it was impressive. Gymnastics, just the atmosphere and the production value and the excitement in the crowd. I mean, they do such a great job. It's amazing how that thing has transformed over the last 10 plus years. You know, to go from, I remember when Brady James would host a charity event there, and they'd have dollar tickets, and they would, you know, get 8,000 people, and that was a big deal. Now they get 8,000 every night plus, and people are paying to go to gymnastics meets. It's incredible. And then for women on Saturday to be sold out in basketball, and then of course the men were on the road. Just amazing weekend for Scott Woodward and his athletic department. What they've been able to do is just absolutely incredible. By the way, shout out to Nolan Cain in his first weekend at Texas A&M. They got a sweep over the weekend, and still weird to see former LSU pitcher and coach Nolan Cain in an Aggies uniform after over a decade as a coach and player in Baton Rouge. Gotta get your reaction to this, Tommy. And we'd like people to like and share this video. Help us out. Biggest story of in the country yesterday was Juwan Howard, the basketball coach for the Michigan Wolverines, former Fab Five member, great NBA player. Juwan Howard, who has done a good job up there in Michigan with that program, shaking hands with the Wisconsin staff after a loss on the road in Madison, and he throws a punch and hits an open face kind of hand slap of an assistant coach, and a mini melee breaks out on the sidelines. Should he be fired? Not suspended, fired.
Wow, that's up to Ward Manuel, the AD at Michigan. He made a pretty bold statement about it's unacceptable, it can't happen, and all this stuff. I saw the video, I read all the stuff, and I mean, you just can't do that. Of course, they're torching him on social media now, saying from now on, anybody wants to call a timeout with under a minute to go, you got to get approval from Juwan Howard. I kind of get what he's doing. It's kind of like, if you're losing 12-0 in baseball and the other guy steals second, you're not going to be real happy. But you got to know how to react to it. And Howard clearly crossed the line. There's no telling what the Big Ten's going to do to him and or what Michigan will do to him. I don't know if it's a fireable offense. If they've been looking for a reason to fire him, they now got one. If not, it may become a zero-tolerance policy thing like Juwan. You do anything in the neighborhood of that again, and you're in big trouble. You're going to be fired, and we're going to have cause, and we're not going to owe you a dime. So you just can't do it. I mean, and then the thing too, you kind of almost think it was calculated, because they said every time since he's been the coach at Michigan, when they do the lineup to shake hands, he's always been first every single time. This particular time he waited, he got on the back of the line, and they're saying, and then that's when the Wisconsin head coach put his hand out on his chest to say, hey, let's talk. And then they start jaw-jacking, and then it escalated. And you can find the video. It's on every platform in the world. But Michigan may fire him. If they were looking for a reason, they got one. We'll see.
I actually just shared the video on our Facebook page. Go to Sports Shorts, the little white circle with the red writing that says Sports Shorts, and give us a follow if you haven't already. The Greg Gard, the coach for Madison, the only thing that may say that the thing that may save Juwan Howard is that technically Greg Gard put his hands on Juwan Howard first. What was it, in a fighting way? No, it was but he was trying to stop his progress. He wanted him to stop and calm down so that they could talk it out or whatever. Because he literally physically put his hands on him and stopped him from walking by, that may be the saving grace that saves Juwan Howard from being fired. Now, will he be suspended? Absolutely. And granted, the slap of and the punch slap of the assistant coach had nothing to do with the Greg Gard. But if Greg Gard just lets Juwan Howard make his comment, which is, I'm gonna remember that, next time or whatever. If he just lets him go by, maybe everybody talks crap walking through the line, but when he stopped him, put his hands on him, and then everybody else starts to go, hey, Juwan Howard lost his cool. And not that it was right what he did at all. It's not. He deserves to be suspended, if not fired. I think that may save him, Tommy. I think technically.
It could. And again, I'm sure they're going to look at the video and talk to some people who were within an earshot of what was going on there, whether that's players or somebody sitting at the score table, whatever it might be. They're going to find out as much information as they can, then they're going to make a decision. And, you just hate to see that. And then, of course, once that happened, once he threw the slap punch, then his players reacted. Players are going to do what the coach does, okay? And then it got out of control. Yeah, Wisconsin won the game by 14 points, but you still can't have that after the game. Wisconsin also issued a statement to the conference like, how can this be, whatever. So I'm guessing late this afternoon we'll get some kind of statement from the Big Ten, from Michigan, whatever.
Well, Juwan Howard clearly got some advice or whatever, because at the press conference yesterday when the game was over, he hid behind the fact that I didn't start. Greg Gard's the one that escalated this. Greg Gard, the head coach for Wisconsin, he's the one that escalated this by putting his hands on me first. So that's going to be the defense. And the reality is that both of them were wrong, right? I mean, Greg Gard should have just let him go by. Good game, good game, good game. I remember that, coach. Okay, just let him go. And he should have done it. But at the same time, Juwan Howard clearly in the wrong.
Well, according to Craig, they had a little confrontation last year also. Yeah. So they're probably not, eating lunch in the off season together or playing golf. So, all the more reason for the head coach for Wisconsin to not care. You hate me, you mad at me, so what? We just beat you by 14. If you don't like it, beat us next time. Right. I mean, come on. Right. Let's grow up here a little bit.
LSU men 500. They've got a little work to do down the stretch. Tigers are 500 in the SEC. Definitely a disappointing record at this point in the season, and that frustration, carried over. I
heard it, Ronnie. I heard a great analogy about LSU men's basketball. I heard this at the baseball park yesterday. Somebody said, one thing about LSU basketball, they're never out of the game. But the problem is neither is the opponent.
Right.
That's a great analysis of this team.
We'll be back on Wednesday for more Sports Shorts Daily. You'll be over at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. And make sure you like and share this video. We'll be kind of getting a little bit more into that LSU-Louisiana Tech game on Wednesday night. We'll talk some more hoops. By then, we'll probably know more about Juwan Howard and what's going to happen there. That'll be a big national story in the world of sports and a whole lot more. TK, tell us one more time about Tremonti's.
Closed today. They'll be open tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. with all the lunch specials, all the catering that they have for you. Crawfish right around the corner. If you connect on Facebook and Instagram, they do crawfish specials, and you'll keep up with the lunch specials the whole bit. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, Baton Rouge.
By the way, you did first Hold the Rope radio with Skip Bertman last night. What was just 30 seconds on what was Skip's takeaway on the weekend?
He was very impressed with the pitching, the hitting. His thing is, Maine's probably not real good. They hadn't been outside, but when they throw the ball over the plate, you still got to put the bat on it. He was very encouraged by a lot of things he saw. He watched every pitch from home on Sunday. He didn't go out to the box Sunday because then he wanted to watch women's basketball. But he was very impressed. He's looking forward to see what else happens.
Yeah. Joe Bear is the real deal. He was a young man that hit a home run against LSU in Nichols when the Colonels beat the Tigers. That was in February of 2020. Then the whole world stopped a couple of weeks later due to COVID. He transferred, played for Delgado last year, and then was at LSU this year. We heard a lot of good things about him in the offseason, and boy, he lived up to all those expectations when he got the opportunity. Unfortunately, due to Kay Beloso's injury.
What I didn't know was his father was teammate with Doug Thompson at LSU. I didn't know that because Doug
Cade's
was
dad?
Joe Bear's dad.
Oh, Joe Bear's dad. About to say.
Yeah, no, because
that's right.
I listened to a lot of Patrick and Doug Friday and Saturday. They do a great job with the game, and Doug was talking about being teammates with Joe Bear's father and telling some stories, all that. Again, Doug and Patrick did a great job.
Yeah, I actually didn't make the connection. I forgot about that. That's pretty cool. Good deal. All right, Tommy, we'll be back on Wednesday morning for more Sports Shorts Daily. Until then, everybody, have a good one.